Hello, this is Scotty McCoy. I am the author of the Ultimate Friday the 13th trivia book, and I am doing another book titled The Ultimate Slasher Movie Encyclopedia, and I am currently interviewing the cast and crew of the Friday the 13th franchise, and I currently have on the phone with me Corey Parker, who played Pete in Friday the 13th Part 5, A New Beginning. Hi, Corey, how you doing?
I'm great. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good today. So I have a couple questions to ask you. The first one I have is, what was your audition like for Friday the 13th Part 5, A New Beginning?
Well, I had just gotten to Los Angeles, and I didn't have a car, and you need a car to get around LA, obviously. So a friend of mine picked me up in his old Buick and drove me from the valley into town, and I went up to the audition, and I had received the scene, and so I believe Danny was in the audition, and so I went in there and read for them and read once more, and it was fairly straightforward. And then I went home, just waiting to see what happened, what came of it.
Right. So how many interviews how many auditions did you actually have until you knew you had the part?
I think I just did that one.
Oh, awesome. So how was your death scene filmed and prepped?
Well, one thing is we were in a canyon near Coldwater Canyon. So we were up in the hills, and it was the middle of the night. It was a night shoot. So that right there kind of set the tone. I mean, we were surrounded by trees, by, what looks to be forest. I mean, it basically is small forest. And so it was pretty spooky. It was very dark. And so, they had a bunch of things to shoot. When they got around to us, I know they had, for my death, what they had was a big machete that's especially made. There's a tube going into the handle, and they pump blood through the tube as it's going around my neck. And there's a piece cut out of the blade so that it fits right around my neck. So as soon as it's placed in my neck, it looks like it's going through my neck, kind of like the way an arrow can go through someone's head.
Right.
It's one of those fake arrows. So we would just practice. I'd get in the car, like I was trying to start the car, and suddenly he'd come up from behind me with that machete and start, slowly turning it around my neck like he was cutting right through it, and the blood's pouring down and stuff. And that was my death scene. I remember Anthony Barrio, who was playing my friend, who was actually a friend in real life. They had taken a plaster cast of his face and made a replica of his face out of that silicone, so that they could then take the flare.
Right.
Take the road flare, light it, and stick it in his mouth. So when it's actually going into his mouth, obviously that's not him, but it was kind of fun to watch them do it.
Yeah. So do you still speak to Anthony Barrio?
We spoke last year. We don't talk all the time. He's in New York. I'm in Memphis and stuff. But
Okay.
For sure. I mean, he's a great guy. He's really creative, and we had a great time working together that night.
If it's possible, would you be able to give me maybe his email or ask him if he'd be willing to do an interview with me?
He moved, I think, since the last time. I can try, but I think he moved since the last time I talked to him. I'll try and put some feelers out and see if I can find anything.
Awesome, thank you. So, What was Danny Steinman like as a director?
My experience with him was fun. I mean, when I got onto the set, for the first parts that we were doing, and I was outside the car, we rehearsed it a couple of times, and then he said, we need something. The scene needs something, and he's like, why don't you sing something? And so, so I had to come up with something that I felt like was fun, because I felt like if it's missing something, and this character, what would he be? He's ready to go. He's ready to rock and roll. So what would his song be? And so the song that I started singing originally was Little Richard's version of Ready Teddy Ready, and so of course immediately Danny said we can't use that song. We don't have the rights to that song. So he said, but make up something similar. And that's where the song came from, that I was singing. I was on the spot. I had to come up with a song that was similar to, a copyrighted song,
right.
but it wasn't the song. And so that's where, that rhythm came from.
Cool. That's awesome. So when you were filming the death scene, all we saw was a hand and a machete that was slitting your throat, but we never saw the face of Jason. So was the person that did that scene with you, was it really Tom Morga who played Jason, or was it somebody else?
I couldn't tell you for sure at this point, but my memory of it is that it was him.
Okay.
That he was there. It was a night shoot, and he was there, at the location.
Right.
And so yeah, my memory is that it was him.
Okay. So what was the most memorable moment of filming Friday the 13th Part 5: A New Beginning?
I think that it was. I really think it was working with Danny. I mean, you don't always get that kind of director who's just like creative and he's got ideas and he wants to change things and usually you have people who are shooting everything is formulaic. And so, I think the best part of the experience, aside from, working with Anthony, was working with Danny. It was just, I was, I think, 18 or 19. And so, to get on a set and have a director like that who's like, wants to play, he's got ideas, he's creative, he includes you, he treats you like an equal. I mean, it's
right.
That's a great experience.
That's awesome. So, something similar but a little different. What was the best part about filming Friday the 13th Part 5: A New Beginning, and what was the worst?
I think the best part was, Anthony and I had a long time to wait before we shot. We got there when they told us to. It probably wasn't even dark yet. We had hours. So we got into wardrobe, and we were both sort of wearing all this leather and had my leather hat and my leather jacket, and we were just punchy. And so I remember we were so excited to shoot, but we had lots of time, and that's kind of a fun time sometimes. It's just like that anticipation. And so that was a great part of it for me, was just being there, being a part of one of those movies, being on location in the middle of the night. You could see the moon. It was all dark around you except for where the lights were pointing. The whole thing just had a special feeling to it. Right. I think the worst part of it was, if I remember correctly, Anthony hurt himself. I think he hurt his foot on a C-stand or a light stand. If I remember correctly, that's how I remember it. That he got hurt, and that became a problem. I think they had to take him to the doctor, and so that was obviously a drag. Right. You don't want anybody to get hurt and stuff. So definitely. But we had to keep going and keep shooting and stuff. And so when you're on set, it's like you have to do whatever you can to keep the ball rolling. And so that's what we did. But yeah.
Cool. So you kind of answered this one already, but I'll still ask it. All of your scenes were filmed with Anthony Borelli, who played Vinny. So what was it like working with him?
With Anthony?
Yeah.
It really, to be honest with you, it's just like when you have it. Like we had been hanging out a lot in New York, and we had a lot of the same friends. So to see each other, we were like instantly familiar with each other and playful with each other. And so he's a real, to me, he's a real New York guy, and we just came from the same world at that time, so it wasn't like meeting someone you didn't know and trying to create a relationship or something. We were like, oh my God, can you believe it? We're here. It was just the two of us. So, it was just like, friends, just both of whom are actors, both of whom are auditioning, trying to get jobs, and here we both booked a job together. So it was a lot of fun working with him.
That's cool. So something not related to Friday the 13th I have for you is how did you get your start into acting?
Well, actually, I started acting when I was about 5 after my father had passed away. My mother, we were living in New York. My mother was an actress, and she started sending me and my brother out on auditions. We got headshots. My brother booked a commercial with De Niro, which is still on YouTube. It's for American Motors. And we just started doing commercials. And so I grew up doing commercials, doing after-school specials, doing TV movies, and at the same time working in theater, training in theater. And I went to the High School of Performing Arts from 9th grade to 12th grade, which was in Times Square at that time. And we were living in Hell's Kitchen, so we were just, my whole life was really kind of based around being an actor, becoming an actor, being around other people in the industry, and that's just the way that I came up.
That's pretty cool. So this one you kind of answered as well. So where was the location that you filmed your scenes at? And also, can you just And also, can you describe what the environment was like filming your scenes at that location?
I think it's called Nichols Canyon, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
You go up Coldwater Canyon, and when you get to the top of Coldwater Canyon, there's a place called Tree People.
Okay.
And when you see where Tree People is, directly across Coldwater from Tree People is the entrance to Nichols Canyon. If you go down there, you can park, and you'll see there's like a beautiful lake. I think they shot the beginning of Andy Griffith there. It's been there for years and years. But it's like being in the country when you get down there.
Nice.
As a matter of fact, there used to be, you don't have it anymore, but if you went down there, I used to go four-wheeling. There used to be trails that you could take off the side of there, sort of a little trail, and it would take you all the way down through the back of Beverly Hills, down to Sunset, and they were great trails. You could really have a lot of fun, but of course they closed those up years ago. But I used to take my son down there, so it was really like suddenly you were in the country. You know,
Right.
it was an odd thing, but when even if you go down there today, you'll see it's like being in a rural setting. You know,
Right.
it's just very calm, it's very peaceful. But when you turn that into a night location, it's like if you went out into the middle of the woods somewhere, and in a night location, it's like, yeah, you've got your location, you've got your actors and your equipment, but at the same time, you are in the middle of the woods. Like, you don't know what's going to happen. There's just that kind of spooky feeling that the dark is totally dark.
Right.
When we shot, the dark around us was totally dark. It wasn't like you could see the city. You can't. So it was very, very dark, and it really was kind of spooky. You were just hope to stay close to production. I would never have gone off somewhere, and I grew up near the woods, upstate in Woodstock, New York, but in that location, I wouldn't have gone off. Didn't know my way around, and it just had that perfect feeling you want for shooting those scenes.
Right. I'm gonna add a question here. So when you were in the woods, when you had like that little jump scene where there was the rabbit. Now, was that rabbit planted there? Was it like a trained rabbit, or was it actually there in the wild? Or
I don't remember if we actually. I don't know if we're in like a two shot where I'm in a shot with the rabbit, or if it's cut in.
Okay.
I don't remember. So I don't know if it was shot separately or not. So my reaction may have been shot, and then we cut to the rabbit. I don't know if it's a separate cut.
Okay.
I don't really remember shooting it, so I'm guessing the rabbit. It wasn't like the release of the rabbit, but while I stood there.
All right.
But who knows? You can tell very easily if you watch it. You'll see if it's a separate piece.
Yeah. And then the last question I got for you is, can you tell us of any like future projects you're working on, or anything that you would like to promote for our readers?
What I'd like to promote is my website, which is CoreyParkerActor.com. It's CoreyParker actor.com. And also my blog, my actor blog. Everything I'm doing now is like I'm still acting, but I teach a lot. I teach in LA, I teach in New York. I come from some great teachers, and I'm just sort of passing stuff on. So my actor blog is theactorswork.com. TheActorsWork, theactorswork.com. So
Awesome.
Those are the two places where you can contact me there. You can find out more about acting there. There are great interviews. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff available there. So
Awesome. Yeah, because
that's where I really pouring my energy into now.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know Greg Gilbert. You had an interview with him on Python's Paradise, and he. I was trying to get a hold of you on Facebook, but I don't know if you ever saw my messages.
No.
But Greg ended up telling me, and I told him, I sent a message to Corey Parker. I really want to interview him, but I don't think he never got back to me. And he said, well, I got in touch with him. If I can ask him if he'd be willing to do an interview for you, and that's when he asked you. And then I'm like, oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah, perfect. I never saw your messages. I mean, I'm sorry I didn't, but I'm glad we hooked up.
I'm definitely glad too. I mean, I know that we're not like friends on Facebook, so I know that any message I send probably go to the other inbox. So a lot of people don't see them, which I kind of don't like that feature.
You can totally friend me if you want on Facebook.
Awesome, definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
But if you have any further questions at any point, don't even hesitate.
Awesome. Thank you very much, and thank you so much for your time. It means a lot. I'm very grateful that you did this interview. I'm gonna create this. I'm gonna do like a little clip, like maybe 5-minute clip, so I can promote the interview. I'll put the last question in about your blog and everything, so like people that listen to the little clip, they'll be able to see that right away instead of waiting until the book gets released.
Great. That's awesome.
Awesome.
Very cool. Thank you.
Yep, no problem. Thank you very much, and you have a nice day.
Okay, you too.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.